When the Ghost Rider awakens with blue flames, how powerful does he become? To stop demons from wreaking havoc on Earth again, Johnny recklessly hops on his flaming chariot and charges out without a second thought. Throughout this process, his form continuously shifts, and even the flames shooting from his nostrils reach an astonishing temperature of over 10,000 degrees. This man is named Johnny. Growing up in a circus, he had to work tirelessly on stage with his father every day, performing acts that others dared not attempt. He thought he would live a mundane life, but life took an unexpected turn when his hard-working father was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. This news hit their already struggling family hard, making their situation even more desperate. Just when Johnny didn't know what to do next, a strangely-looking old man suddenly appeared at their door. He shamelessly claimed he could cure Johnny's father's cancer, but only if Johnny would sacrifice his soul to him. Although Johnny was initially skeptical, he ultimately agreed to cooperate after the old man revealed detailed information about them. With Johnny's blood dripping onto a sheepskin scroll, the deal with the demon was officially sealed. The next morning, Johnny thought he had just woken from a nightmare. However, upon seeing his father not only cured but also bursting with energy, he realized the old man had kept his promise. Yet, as Johnny celebrated his father's recovery, he suddenly received tragic news from the circus. His once highly skilled father had suffered a fatal accident during a small performance. By the time Johnny rushed over, it was already too late. Seeing his father lying motionless on the ground, he realized that the old man must have been behind this. Without hesitation, he jumped on his Harley and sped off like a maniac. When Johnny sternly questioned him, the old man insisted that he would heal Barton's illness but had never promised to let him live. Now, with the Ghost Rider contract in effect, no matter where Johnny finds himself in the future, as long as he is needed, the old man will appear again. With that, the old man suddenly vanished into thin air. In the blink of an eye, decades passed. Johnny had transformed from a youth into middle age. He constantly pushed himself to the limits, even jumping over 50 trucks on his motorcycle. The reason for Johnny's bravado was that he discovered he couldn't die. Despite falling from the platform and hitting his head hard, he could get back up within moments and even waved to the audience as he left. As a result, he gained a massive following. However, despite his outward success, Johnny's heart was profoundly empty. He was haunted by the love he missed in his youth, leaving him constantly wandering in regret. On this day, Johnny discovered that his first love had become a journalist and was assigned to interview him. Without a second thought, he chased after her. After managing to stop her car, Johnny finally got the chance to go on a date with her. However, while he was home getting ready, he noticed that his hands were heating up uncontrollably. Despite desperately rinsing them under cold water, his palms continued to emit thick smoke. Johnny immediately sensed that something was wrong. Sure enough, when he went downstairs to check the situation, he found that his beloved motorcycle had been pushed outside by someone. This scene hinted that the strange old man had reappeared. At the same time, a fire rain suddenly fell from the sky 100 kilometers away, and emerging from it was the evil demon Blackheart. As soon as he appeared, he slaughtered everyone in the bar and then crazily summoned 3 earthly demons. Whether it was the water demon or the wind demon, they were all murderers banished by angels. The 4 great demons gathered together and planned to seize the pact, absorb its power, and overthrow the old demon's rule. Although the old man was Blackheart's father, he was simply no match for the 4 great demons while trapped on Earth. He could only place his hopes on the Ghost Rider, Johnny, commanding him to fulfill his promise and help eliminate Blackheart. Having been tricked earlier, Johnny initially didn't want to help him. However, as he prepared to leave, he suddenly found that his body was no longer under his control. The old man then slammed his cane on the ground, causing Johnny's motorcycle to accelerate uncontrollably. In an instant, the tire speed reached an astonishing 100,000 revolutions per second, turning the concrete beneath into lava. As Johnny charged forward, every piece of glass along the way shattered into fragments. Even when traffic officers tried to measure his speed, they were caught in the wake of his velocity. Eventually, they arrived at an abandoned factory where the war machine hurled Johnny away, and his body began to heat up rapidly. Not only were smoke and steam billowing from his 7 orifices, but his entire body was being scorched by temperatures exceeding 10,000 degrees. Amidst a chorus of wails, every cell in his body was burning in hellfire until every inch of his skin was incinerated. Johnny finally succeeded in transforming into the Ghost Rider. This time, his opponent was the demon Blackheart from Hell. Without hesitation, the wind demon charged at him, slamming him against a chain and trapping his neck. Just as the earth demon thought he had successfully dealt with Johnny, a large hand suddenly grabbed him. The Ghost Rider then delivered a powerful punch, sending the earth demon flying. His entire face was scorched by hellfire. After that, to catch the fleeing Blackheart and the others, Johnny whistled, and his war machine seemed to come alive, driving itself to him. Johnny then began to patrol on his motorcycle, and along the way, he unexpectedly witnessed a robbery. Without hesitation, he descended from the sky, signaling for the woman to leave first. What followed was his moment of judgment. Johnny pinned the assailant against the wall, and even though the man retaliated with a dagger, it melted instantly under the extreme heat. Johnny unleashed the Eye of Judgment, and under the illumination of hellfire, the perpetrator's past crimes were laid bare before them. Just as the Ghost Rider was about to leave on his motorcycle, the man died from the exhaustion of his soul. Guided by an unseen force, Johnny found himself in a graveyard. At that moment, the sky suddenly cleared, and he watched the sun gradually rise above the horizon. The soul chariot returned to its original state, and Johnny began to morph back into human form amid cries of pain. With sheer willpower, he crawled to his father's grave, but then he collapsed. When he woke up again, he found himself lying on a hospital bed, and the one who saved him was a man in his 70s. The old man had thoughtfully prepared hot water for Johnny and even recognized his identity as the Ghost Rider. It was clear that the old man was not an ordinary person. Meanwhile, since the police had found the license plate at the scene, they arrested Johnny as a murder suspect. Although Johnny desperately denied any wrongdoing, the police were unconvinced and locked him in a cage filled with criminals. Johnny pleaded with the officers to let him go because he realized that if he lost control, everyone around would be doomed. He not only dealt with all the criminals, but also upgraded his leather jacket. The airtight prison cell melted effortlessly into molten iron at his hands. Just as Johnny was preparing to leave on his motorcycle, a man struck him hard on the jaw. Fortunately, he didn't stoop to the man's level. He then drove his motorcycle straight out, only to find that countless police officers had surrounded the area. Without hesitation, he dashed toward the sea. Just when everyone thought that the flames on Johnny would be extinguished by the seawater, the soul chariot suddenly revved up. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Johnny directly escaped his pursuers. At that moment, Blackheart also sensed the Ghost Rider's arrival and immediately sent the Wind Demon to confront him. The Wind Demon kicked Johnny away, but this minor injury felt like just a tickle to the Ghost Rider. As the Wind Demon attempted to flee, Johnny decisively chased after him on his motorcycle. The Wind Demon thought he could escape by flying up to a tall building, but little did he know that Johnny's speed had surpassed all limits. At that moment, the Wind Demon revealed his true form. Johnny intended to capture him and unleash the Eye of Judgment, but the Wind Demon transformed into smoke and floated away. No matter how Johnny swung his chain, the Wind Demon dodged his attacks effortlessly. By this time, countless police officers had surrounded the area. Seeing his girlfriend among the crowd, Johnny wanted to step forward to explain, but the next second, he was met with a barrage of gunfire from special forces. Bullets rained down like a storm. To break free from the entanglement, Johnny immediately released a flame barrier in front of him, then took off on his motorcycle without hesitation. Meanwhile, after losing 2 key fighters, Blackheart secretly found Roxanne. He planned to use her as leverage to force Johnny to hand over the contract. When Johnny rushed home in a panic, Blackheart pinned him against the wall. Johnny immediately transformed into the Ghost Rider, ready to unleash the Eye of Judgment on Blackheart, only to realize that his opponent had no soul at all. Blackheart then seized Johnny by the throat, and the red hellfire instantly turned pitch black. Johnny gradually reverted to his human form, but Blackheart did not kill him. Instead, he threatened Johnny, demanding that he find the Gravekeeper and use the evil spirit contract in the Gravekeeper's possession to exchange for Roxanne. With that, Johnny hurried to the cemetery. After learning the ins and outs of the situation, the gravekeeper broke his iron shovel and took out the contract that sealed the evil spirits from within. He was going to accompany Johnny to rescue Roxanne. While Johnny was still in a daze, the old man revealed his true identity, and his steed was a fiery war horse. The two ghost riders then rode side by side, heading towards the demon realm to eliminate Blackheart. In the dark of night, they raced forward, leaving desolation in their wake. Soon they arrived above the demon city. After handing the lucky gun to Johnny, the old man decisively turned back, for this was his last transformation. The demonic energy within him had been nearly depleted. Johnny had no choice but to continue alone. As he passed a pond, he was ambushed by the water demon. Afterward, Johnny rode his motorcycle into the demon realm and immediately began fighting Blackheart. However, he was quickly overpowered and sent flying. Blackheart intended to pick up the sheepskin scroll, but Johnny seized a fireball, aimed carefully, and threw it. As the sun began to rise, Johnny grabbed his chain to execute his strongest attack, only to have it caught by Blackheart, who flung him away. Being thrown into the sunlight, Johnny gradually returned to his human form. Seeing that Johnny was now powerless to resist, Blackheart calmly picked up the sheepskin scroll. He recited an incantation to release all the evil spirits, which rushed in from all directions and hurriedly entered Blackheart's body. After absorbing all the souls, Blackheart successfully evolved. Johnny shot at him with the lucky gun while continuously retreating toward the church. When Blackheart followed him into the trap, Roxanne shot him back with a bullet and then tossed the lucky gun to Johnny. As Blackheart had absorbed a massive number of souls, Johnny's eye of judgment inflicted immense suffering upon him. Moments later, Blackheart was sent back to hell. After everything had ended, the old demon king appeared. He intended to reclaim the knight's power, but after much consideration, Johnny refused his offer and declared that he would use this power to combat all dark forces. Ultimately, the old man left the scene in a fit of anger. Although Johnny had successfully eliminated Blackheart, the dark power remained within him forever, and each time he transformed, he lost control, relying solely on the instincts of the Ghost Rider to eradicate all evil. To prevent any more innocent people from getting hurt, Johnny traveled to the other side of the earth, living in darkness every day. However, even in such isolation, he was found by a white preacher named Morrow, who seemed to know Johnny's identity all too well. The man explained that he had come to this place while tracking a little boy and hoped that Johnny could help him find the child and use his identity as the Ghost Rider to protect him on the journey to the Holy Land. Johnny immediately refused, but when Morrow mentioned that he could help Johnny lift the curse, Johnny quickly agreed to cooperate. Meanwhile, a group of thugs had already found the little boy. Despite his mother's desperate resistance, they managed to escape in a car. However, facing relentless pursuit from behind and with their fuel running out, the two were forced into an alleyway. Even though the woman drew her gun and fought back fiercely, they were ultimately overpowered by the larger thugs. Just as the thugs prepared to eliminate the woman, a piercing laugh echoed around them. The Ghost Rider leaped into the midst of the thugs, causing them to freeze in fear at the sight of the monster. Only when their leader ordered them to attack did they react, opening fire on Johnny. However, this level of damage was nothing more than a tickle to the Ghost Rider. In the end, the boy was still taken by the thugs, and Johnny was sent to a mental hospital. Taking advantage of a moment when the doctor left, he found a stash of sedatives and encountered the boy's mother, Paula. However, Paula immediately pointed a gun at Johnny, demanding to know if he was a demon's spy. After a long explanation, she finally believed him, and they decided to search for the little boy together. During their journey, Johnny learned that the woman was named Paula and that a tragic accident had nearly taken her life years ago. Just as Paula was on the brink of death, a grotesque old man suddenly showed up and persuaded her to sign a demon contract. Though Paula was granted a new life as a result, the price she had to pay was to bear a child for the demon, and that child was the little boy Danny. Although Paula had no idea of the demon's true intentions, Johnny, as the Ghost Rider, understood completely. The demon needed a human vessel to come to Earth, but a mere mortal could not withstand his power. Thus, he required a container with his own bloodline, and clearly, Danny was the demon's ultimate target. In her desperation to rescue her son, Paula managed to find an underground boxing arena, but the criminal atmosphere there made Johnny feel extremely uncomfortable. They eventually located a scumbag who knew John, and he revealed John's location. At that moment, Johnny could no longer suppress the hellfire within him and charged out like a madman, with every attack accompanied by magical flames. Not only was Johnny's body restless, but even the distant hellish motorcycle began to stir. He arrived at the quarry where the deal with the demon was taking place. The thugs had just completed their transaction when John saw the Ghost Rider approaching and immediately launched a missile. After a loud explosion, they believed they had successfully eliminated the Ghost Rider, but when they regained their composure, they found Johnny standing unharmed before them. Even as they opened fire, Johnny swung his chains and continued to take them down. These mercenaries had committed countless crimes over the years, so under the eye of judgment, they had no defense and quickly turned to ashes. He jumped into the driver's seat, and the truck was instantly engulfed in hellfire, transforming into a magma-filled, hellish vehicle. Johnny maneuvered the truck, smashing it repeatedly into the ground. At that moment, one soldier attempted to launch a tracking missile only to be crushed into a meat patty by the truck's wheels. However, as Paula fled with Danny, the Ghost Rider caught up to them. He yanked Paula out and was about to activate the Eye of Judgment when Danny interrupted the incantation from behind. Calmly uttering a relaxation command, Danny caused the Ghost Rider's flames to gradually extinguish. Once the smoke cleared, Johnny found himself restored to his human form, unable to believe his eyes. It was the first time in decades he had appeared as a human in the night. Meanwhile, the demon had secretly arrived at the quarry from the previous day and found the near-death John among the ruins. Without a word, the old demon squatted before John and gently stroked his body. Power. John had become the corrosion demon. At the same time, Johnny took the little boy to the Holy Land, where he entrusted Danny to the local worshippers. Morlo had emphasized that they would protect Danny's safety and could remove the curse within Johnny. After that, they entered a mysterious cave, and Morlo closed the stone door behind them. Johnny began to battle the Ghost Rider, and despite their intense struggle, the Ghost Rider ultimately transformed into black smoke and drifted away, while Johnny managed to break free from his constraints. He charged out, ready to inform Morlo, only to discover that the worshippers intended to kill Danny. They believed this would weaken the demon's power. Even though Johnny threw himself at them without the Ghost Rider's powers, he was no match for them, and the little boy was taken to the guillotine. Just as the bald man was about to execute the sentence, he was pulled into the realm of darkness by the corrosion demon. The white-haired man appeared, swiftly eliminating those around him before preparing to attack the bald man. With a light touch, the corrosion demon corroded the bald man completely, reducing him to a stone statue. The corrosion demon's purpose was to take Danny and deliver him to the old demon lurking in the shadows. Although Johnny had lost the power of the Ghost Rider, he decided to rescue Danny due to their agreement. He followed Morlo to an armory, where they selected weapons for the final showdown against the demon. The group rushed to the church before dark, where the demon was performing a soul transfer ritual. Countless followers below chanted incantations, and as the ritual approached completion, Paula used a sniper rifle to take out the demon's followers, while Johnny and Morlo advanced into enemy territory under cover. However, due to their limited strength, Morlo ultimately decided to sacrifice himself. He instructed Johnny to rescue Danny and flee immediately, while he would hold off the pursuing soldiers. When Johnny reached the altar, he saw the demon and Danny shaking their heads, their eyes radiating a dark aura. Just as their souls were about to exchange, Morlo suddenly descended from above, opening fire on the followers below. Seeing this, the old demon quickly regained his senses and sent the corrosion demon to intercept Morlo, causing Morlo to start withering from contact with the demon's body.
Still sees the light!
Meanwhile, Johnny charged toward the altar. When he knocked the old demon down and attempted to take Danny away, he found his hand suddenly out of control. As Johnny was on the brink of being corroded, Danny arrived in time. Utilizing the power of the demon, Danny signed a new contract with Johnny. He leaped onto Johnny's back, and as Johnny was engulfed in hellfire, thick smoke billowed from his body. It was clear that the power of the rider had returned. Even as the sun began to rise, it could not prevent the transformation into the Ghost Rider. Paula attempted to drive in to help, but she was ambushed by the corrosion demon, who easily shattered the car's windows with a light touch. As she faced imminent danger, the Ghost Rider threw out his chains. However, once the chaos had settled, they discovered that Danny had already died. Just then, Johnny awakened blue flames, the legendary power of angels. Gently caressing Danny's cheek, he miraculously brought him back to life.